Welcome to South Asia Maps. This is J. Reddy, your facilitator, and we'll continue our fascinating journey of looking at Punjab, the land of five rivers. Excuse me. In the previous presentations, we looked at extensively about Ranjit Singh's Punjab, the British Punjab, the comparison of Ranjit Singh's Punjab and British Punjab, the British Punjab and five divisions and so on. In this particular presentation, I will take you to the various nuances of Punjab, what Punjab actually means. Excuse me. If this is suppose a person lives in Lahore or Faisalabad or Rawalpindi and Islamabad or Mithankot or Multan in Paschim Punjab, or lives in Jalandhar, Ludhiana, Chandigarh or Gurdaspur in East Punjab, or even lives in Gurgaon or Hisar or Rohtak or Kangra or Chamba and Kullu, Punjab means different things for different people. After this presentation, you will get a broad, nearly 5,000 years bird's eye view of various shades, nuances, opinions, and meanings of Punjab. This is what we are going to look today. I will discuss about historical Punjab, and I will discuss about the linguistic Punjab. We will look at Vedic Punjab during the Vedic time and Hindu Punjab, Hindu Vedic civilizations. And before the delusional belief system of Islamic imperialism was started introducing itself by the invaders, we look at pre-Islamic Punjab, the final stage of the struggle for the survival of ancient civilization, and finally the firm establishment of Islamic imperialism in Punjab and Islamization of most of Punjab during the Mughal regime and collapse of Mughal regime and the struggle for power by various missiles pre-Khalsa Punjab, then the rise of Khalsa Raj in Punjab and consolidation of various Cis-Sutlej missiles and predominantly Trans-Sutlej missiles by Sukar Chakia, that is Gujranwaliya Misildar, Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Then the first and second Anglo-Sikh Wars, and in 1849, Punjab, Ranjit Singh's Khalsa Punjab was annexed by the British East India Company Bahadur. Then we have British Punjab nearly for 100 years, from 1849 to 1947, partition times. Then we can see the partition Punjab and Radcliffe Line, and East Punjab and West Punjab. We'll have a look at it, East Punjab and West Punjab. Then we look predominantly East Punjab, that in India what we mean most of the time is East Punjab, that is a truncated version of historic Punjab, and Punjab and Patiala East Punjab state unions. It is also a Punjab in more or less a broader sense, because Punjabi language is spoken in that region. Then merger of PEPSU, a political entity nearly survived for 8 years or so, into East Punjab, made it a bilingual Punjab, where northern part predominantly spoke Punjabi language and southern part predominantly spoke Haryanvi or Bangra or various dialects of Western Hindi. Then finally the trifurcation of Punjab, Punjab Reorganization Act came in 1966 that formed East Punjab, Punjabi Suba, that is East Punjab, Haryana and Himachal Pradesh. The most of the time people doesn't use the word East, but it's very important to put this into the minds of the people so that the historicity and continuity that what we lost during 1947 when the serious Islamic challenge was thrown on the native civilization, the leaders want that to slowly taken in our mind. So just they say Punjab. So this we need to always keep in mind. So during our presentation, you notice that I always stress talking about East Punjab so that people are aware there is one more Punjab, western side of river Ravi, that is the western side of Radcliffe line. So that's what briefly we are going to talk about today, and after this discussion we will have a solid understanding and you can articulate very well about Punjab and the current events in Punjab, how they are related. We look at historical Punjab, linguistic Punjab, Vedic Punjab and Hindu Punjab, pre-Islamic Punjab and Islamic imperialism, and Mughal Punjab and Misl Punjab and Khalsa Punjab, that is Ranjit Singh's Punjab, superseded by British Punjab, and partition of 1947, Radcliffe Line Award, Paschim Punjab, West Punjab, East Punjab, and West Punjab, East Punjab and PEPSU, Patiala East Punjab States Union, bilingual Punjab and Punjabi Suba Movement, and East Punjab, Haryana and Himachal Pradesh. I will also enlarge these maps so that you will have much more clarity, and we will go through that in this presentation. Excuse me. So this is the historical Punjab. You can see the historical Punjab is the land of 5 rivers, actually 5 Abs, Panjnad, 5 Abs, that is the Jalandhar Doab or Bist Doab and Rechna Doab and Chaz Doab, Bari Doab and Rechna Doab and Chaz Doab and Sindh Sagar Doab, 5 interflow regions. So historical Punjab, starting from the Khyber Pass to Delhi. You can see the Delhi here. So this is the historical Punjab. The eastern side, that is south of Sutlej River, especially Ghaggar River, is a transition zone where the language slowly turns from Punjabi dialects into Western Hindi dialects like Bangar language or Haryanvi dialect and Bagri language and so on. And the southernmost part you see Mevati language and Ahirvati language, these languages are spoken. Whereas in the western part, that is, this is the Indus River, you can see the Potwari language or dialect and Hindko language. And once you enter, cross the Attock River, the language predominantly becomes a Pashto language spoken by Pathans, as they are called in India, or they are called Afghans in their country, the Pashtun people. So, the southern part, where the river Panjnad, the joining of these 5 rivers, Panjnad region or Uch Sharif historic city, then joins the Indus River, Sindhu River at Mithankot near Kashmir and enters into Sindh province in Shikarpur and continues its journey. So the west, this is the historical Punjab broadly from the Peshawar basin into the towards southern, towards the Delhi region. That is about historical Punjab. And if you take a language into consideration, or language or dialects, there is a linguistic continuum. That means as you start from Khyber Pass and go to Peshawar, Attock and Jhelum and Gujarat, Wazirabad and Gujranwala, Lahore, Kashur and Amritsar and Kapurthala and Jalandhar and Philor and Ludhiana, Ambala, Karnal, like that. There is a continuous, a slow change, excuse me, slow change of languages from pure Pashto language to Punjabi language to Haryanvi or Hindi language. This is called linguistic continuum. And there is also dialect continuum. So here we are, so which is a dialect, which is a language is a little hard to tell. So here we broadly use the term dialect continuum, a Punjabi language spoken in various dialect forms. Punjab strictly means a Punjab speaking region. So there is a East Punjab and West Punjab where Punjabi is spoken. But that is a overall broader simplification. It is not like that. And there are various versions of the languages are spoken, Punjabi language. This is a dialect continuum. When you talk about the Indian side or east of River Ravi, the east of River Ravi or Radcliffe Line award, we can see the south of Sutlej River predominantly. That is called Malwa region. This Malwa is a Punjab Malwa. It is different from central provinces Malwa. There is one other Malwa region, that's a historic region centered around Indore city and Ujjain city for a long time, ruled by Holkar, rulers of Maratha dynasties like Ahalyabai Holkar and so on. We are not talking about that. We are talking about Punjabi Malwa. So Malvi dialect is spoken here, and east side the Pawad dialect is spoken, especially the Patiala region and Samana region and Naba regions and so on. And Malvi dialect is spoken Firozpur and Faridkot and those Malerkotla and Barnal and those parts. South of that, where the Ghaggar River merges into Rajasthan desert, a Bagri language is spoken, bordering like Sriganganagar district, Anumanagar district and so on. And southern part speaks a dialect called Batiani language. This is the Sutlej River, and this is the Bias River. This is the Doab region. Interflow region is called Doab, and is called Bist Jalandhar Doab or Bist Doab because the Bias and Sutlej River. And a Dobi language is spoken predominantly in Kapurtara, Pagwara and Sultanpur and Jalandhar and Phillour, Nakhodar, Nawanshar, Hoshiarpur and those regions. And bordering this is also Punjab, and the Bias River enters here. There are Dhauladhar mountains in Himachal here. A variant of Punjabi language or Pahadi language, Hindi language, Kangri dialect is spoken. In the former princely state, a Bilaspuri dialect is spoken, Bilaspuri and Kangri. And in this region, the former princely state of Chamba, the north of Kangra district, historic district of British India, British Punjab, Chambi language or Chambiyali language is spoken. Adjoining to that, where the Jambwalias and Dogras live, the Dogra Rajas lived, Dogra people, Rajputs or Punjabi Rajputs, Dogri dialect is spoken. So that is about the eastern side. And the standard Punjabi language, the dialect is Maja or Majali or Maji language. That is the most important dialect. When we say Punjabi, that's the dialect, that is standard dialect that is used, predominantly spoken in Amritsar, Lahore, Kasur, Taran and Sialkot and Gujranwala, Gujarat, Wazirabad and Shahiwal region and so on. This is the standard Maji dialect. If you come to southern part, is the Multan region, and Multan and Khanewal, those regions, it speaks a dialect called Seraiki. Some people consider Seraiki as a southern Punjabi or even a separate language, Seraiki, and it's essentially a Multani dialect, Multani language. And south of, this is Sutlej River, south of Sutlej River, there used to be a princely state of Bahawalpur, was ruled by a Musalman Nawab during the British time. It speaks a language or dialect called Bahawalpuri, also called Riyasti, and southernmost part like Fort Abbas and those regions speaks a language dialect Thari, that is the Thar region, adjoining to Marwar regions, the region that like Bikaner and The Jodhpur, Jaisalmer and those regions, they speak a Marwari dialect of Rajasthani language, adjoining Hanumangarh and Sri Ganganagar Bagri language. So we have a Thari dialect and Riyasti or Bahawalpuri dialect and Multani or Seraiki dialect. This is the Sindhu River here, and the western side of Sindhu, now the district is called Dera Ghazi Khan. Dera means essentially a fort or a region or settlement which is sparsely populated adjoining the Baluchistan mountains. So a type of language spoken in this area is Derawali. The important towns in this area are Dera Ghazi Khan and Bakkar, Laya. These regions Maharaja Ranjit Singh conquered later times, called Derawat or Derajat and so on. And coming to northern part, here there is a mountain region, the Murray Mountains. Murray, that is means like adjoining to Sivalik Mountains. This is Jammu and Kashmir. And this region is called Potowari region, Potwar region. The important cities like Attock, Jhelum, Rawalpindi, today's Islamabad, and those important settlements are present. A language is spoken in that region called Potwari, Potowar region. Former Prime Minister of India, or former Prime Ministers of India, Manmohan Singh, their family, or Inder Kumar Gujral, they all came from this Potwar region. That means the western side is Indus River and southern eastern side is Jhelum River. Jhelum River descends into the plains of Punjab at Mirpur or Jhelum towns and so on. Adjoining that, a very big historic district called Shapur district, or headquarters at Sargodha. Sometimes it's called Shapur district or Sargodha district. A dialect Shapuri is spoken. This is the Jang area where the river Chenab, that's the important river, that gathers on its right hand side river Ravi and the river Jhelum, and the left hand side river Ravi. There is a district that overlaps this region called Jang district. A Jang is historically, jungle means Hindi word, means a sort of forest or forest region. Jangli language is spoken, adjoining region Chengvi is spoken. There is a desert region between Sindh river here and the combined streams of Chenab river called Thal. And a special type of Thali language is spoken in this area. So, and adjoining the Potawar, that Attock region, Hazara region here, this is Hazara, this is Naushera, this is Peshawar, and we see Jamred, and you get into Jalalabad and you get into Kabul city. And the language spoken is Hindko. Hindko is spoken by Punjabis and Pashtuns, a mixture of those people. They are called Hazara people. They speak Hindko language. So Hindko and Potahari, Shahpuri, Jangli, Derawali, these are the important languages, dialects spoken in that part. And Multani or Sharaiki, Bahawalpuri and Thari and Marwari adjoining region, and Bagri. Predominant standard language of Punjabi is considered to be as Maja language or Maji, and spoken in the Amritsar, Lahore regions. And south of Sutlej you see Malvi and Pawad and Batiani, and Jalandhar region Dobi and Bilashpuri, Kangri and Chambi and Dogri and Pahadi and those speak. So that's about the linguistic Punjab. So we talked about historical Punjab, linguistic Punjab. We look at the Vedic Punjab. Vedic Punjab is the region where Hindu civilization started. Hindu civilization started on the banks of Sindhu River. Great Rishis and Maharshis, they did great tapas, and essentially Harappa civilization and all those civilizations and historic settlements live in that area. Historic Janapada times, Vedic, you can see Kuru region and Madra region, where the Madra, the consort of King Pandu, comes from there, And Gandhari, the consort of Dhritarashtra and mother of Suyodhana, comes in this year, and Cambodia kingdom. So these are the historic names and regions of Vedic Punjab. After Vedic Punjab, when Islam was firmly established in Arabian Peninsula by the extensive use of armed forces by Islamic sourcemen, the Muslims start invading Bharat. So from almost 630s to nearly 500 to 600 years, they start attacking various parts of Punjab in this region. At that time, Jabul region and so on. They are now in Afghania. The last remnants that the rulers who tried to protect the native civilization, who ruled Pashtun speaking and Punjabi speaking territories, called Hindu Shahiyas. Hindu Shahiyas fought heroically against Safarids and Samanids, predecessors of Ghaznavis, Trilochan Pal, Jaipal, Anandapal, round about 1000 years AD. They ruled this region and extensively fought against the Muslim invaders, blunting the sword of Islam, the spearhead of Islam. That means essentially saved like nearly 600 years Hindu civilization. After the collapse and firm establishment of the Islamic rule in already Islamic rule was established by Arabs in Sindh region long before, and also adjoining Multan region, that is Saraik region, that is southern part of Punjab region. After the collapse of Hindu Shahi rulers and Ghaznavids, and established their capital at Lahore, and Punjab was turned into an Islamic land. Lot of native civilization came under intensive attack. And final battle of Tharain came, in which Punjabi king Prithviraj Chauhan ruler, Rajput ruler, were defeated and killed, and Punjab, the Islamic imperialism, was firmly established. Not only Punjab, and it has reached Delhi, and Turkic Mamluk sultans or slave dynasty was established. Afterwards, Timur invasion round about 1400, and finally Mughal invasion and Babur. And they firmly established some large-scale conversions and jizya and uprooting of Punjabi civilization culture, and Persian language and Persian-related, Arabic-related script was firmly imposed on this territory. And when Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb died fighting 25 years war in Deccan against Marathas, and he died in 1707, I think February or so, in Ahmednagar in the Balghat region of this territory of Maharashtra today, and buried in Marathwada region near Kuldabad or Aurangabad. This is the Subas of Mughal Empire. These are, here I have highlighted Lahore, that's the major Suba, adjoining Kashmir Suba, adjoining Afghania Suba, Kabul Suba, Multan Suba. This is also Sirhind Suba, centered around Ludhiana, Sirhind, Nabha, Patiala, and so on. And Delhi Suba, sometimes called Agra Suba. So the part of historic Punjab overlapped with Agra Suba, Delhi Suba, Sirhind Suba, Lahore Suba, Mughal Suba, and Kashmir Suba, and Pashto speaking Kabul Suba. So that is the Mughal Punjab in 1707. Then, so we discussed historical Punjab, linguistic Punjab, Vedic Punjab, and pre-Islamic Shahi Punjab, and Mughal Punjab. After the collapse of Mughal Empire and the Third Battle of Panipat, when Marathas was defeated by the invading Duranis, Ahmad Shah Abdali in 1761 January, and a lot of political vacuum emerged in the central Punjab region because Marathas failed to conquer Punjab complete, even though they conquered and ruled for few months. And invader, the spearhead of Islamic imperialism, Ahmad Shah Abdali, Durrani emperor ruler, in Kandahar and Kabul also failed to consolidate Punjab as a part of Islamic Empire, and it was loosely attached to the Durrani Empire, and a lot of local Sikh principalities at that time emerged, and they ruled, contested for power almost from Battle of Panipat to the rise of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. So this is called missile time Punjab, we can say a term loosely. This is Multan was ruled by Musalman Nawab under the nominal control of Duranis. During 1775, these are the missiles. Missile is a Persian word, means a small kingdom. It's not a kingdom, it's a principality, a local region. And Patiala region, that was ruled by Pulkiana missiles, Ahulwalia missiles, and Ramgharia missiles here, and Sukarchekia missile, that is to which Maharaja Ranjit Singh family belonged, and Bhangi missiles, and so on. This is round about birth of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. Was born 1780, and by 1800, and he became conquered Lahore city and declared himself Maharaja of Punjab, and established a powerful kingdom. Sutlej River is very important when we discuss about the Khalsa Raj, Maharaja Ranjit Singh's kingdom. North of Sutlej, all the territories or states are called. State means essentially a small region, a province or something. Cis-Sutlej states, lot of missiles here, even the Nawab of Kasur, Nawabs of Multan, and so on. Cis-Sutlej missiles, south of Sutlej. They were, and finally south, and got the protection of East India Company Bahadur, and Maharaja Ranjit Singh slowly annexed all of them. He conquered Kasur, he conquered Attock, he conquered Multan, excuse me, he conquered Kashmir, and Jammu was already under his control, ruled by Dogras as his was tributaries and allies and vassals, and conquered the Peshawar basin, so built the kingdom brick by brick. And when he died in 1839, it was a very powerful kingdom. It is a friendly relations British India. After the death of Maharaja Ranjit Singh, the Punjab Khalsa Sarkar fell into anarchy, and within 3-4 years, lot of ministers and even the rulers like Karak Singh and Sher Singh, his son Pratap Singh, and Dhyan Singh Dogra, and Hira Singh, his son, and other the Diwan Jawahar Singh, all were assassinated or killed by the various fractions. So British finally, looking for an opportunity, Sikhs invaded their territories south of Sutlej, that is the Casus Belli, to declare a war on Sikh kingdom. And within 5 years, 2 wars were fought. First war of Anglo-Sikh War in the winter of 1845-46, and 2-3 years later, 48 to 49, second war was fought, and Lord Dalhousie, Governor General at that time, annexed the Khalsa Sarkar to British East India Company territory. That is, then we have British Punjab. This is the British Punjab. British Punjab is a political political entity within the overall British presidencies, provinces, and various princely states, and survived from 1849 annexation to 1947, nearly 100 years. It is the British Punjab, that is it succeeded Ranjit Singh's Khalsa Raj or Sikh Kingdom or Sikh Empire. It has 5 divisions: Northern Rawalpindi division, Western Multan division, Central Lahore division, and Southern Haryana division or Delhi division or Ambala division. Those 3 names are used most of the time. Then the Jalandhar division, and that is the British Punjab. And British Punjab made a lot of changes: British English education and consolidation of a part of Sikhism or Khalsa, and alienation of Khalsa, and a sort of separatism, and all those things. And finally, the increase in Islamic violence and rioting made the Congress leadership to give in the partition of Bharat, our motherland, and formation of two dominions, Dominion of India, Dominion of Pakistan. And Pakistan, the key word was P, that formed Punjab, so Punjab was divided, and the Mussalmans and non-Mussalmans, that's an Islamic ideology of Kafirs and Mu'mins, and the historic division of Darul Harb and Darul Islam, non-Islamic civilizations, Jahili civilization, and all those things happened. And we have now Radcliffe Award, a Radcliffe line, and we have West Punjab and we have East Punjab during 1947. The West Punjab at that time, the districts exactly almost British Punjab, this is Sutlej River, and we had Rawalpindi division here, Attock Rawalpindi, Jhelum and Gujarat and Sargodha, and Multan division, this is the Dera region, Ghazi Khan and Muzaffargarh, Multan and Jang, and Lahore division, that is the Lahore and Sheikhpura, Gujranwala, Gujarat and Sialkot, and Layalpur or Faisalabad. In the Lahore division, the Dominion of India got Amritsar district and Gurdaspur district. Gurdaspur district contained Pathankot, Gurdaspur and Batala, sans Sakkhargarh Tehsil, that is a slight bit Muslim majority, so it was given back to West Punjab, that is a Sialkot district here. And south of the Sutlej River, the princely state of Bahawalpur joined the Dominion of Pakistan. They formed later three districts, Rahimyar Khan, Bahawalpur, Bahawalnagar. So this is West Punjab. When you say Punjab, for people living in Pakistan, Punjab means this is the Punjab they are talking about. And when you say people in India, they are talking about Punjab, a small part of Punjab, East Punjab. So that is about the British Punjab, the partition Punjab, Raski. Then we come to the East Punjab. This is the East Punjab, whatever left over, truncated Punjab or East Punjab. This is the East Punjab. When it was formed, there was a lot of princely states of Patiala, Naba, Jind, Loharo, and the Chamba, Bilaspur, and Simla Hill state like Bashar and so on. That is the Kalpa region or Kinnaur region. And they were all slowly merged in one form or another, and East Punjab was formed. And the princely states, Pulkian states, were amalgamated, that survived as a separate entity. They are also Punjab. They are called PEPSU. That is an acronym meaning Patiala, right, main princely state. Then East Punjab, States Union. State means at that time princely state. What are other East Punjab states? That is Kapurthala, and that is Lahore. This is Pataudi here, Duziana here, and Khalsia here, Nalagarh, all those regions. And these are East Punjab states. Patiala, East Punjab, Patiala, Jind, Naba, Kapurthala, Malerkotla, Faridkot, Khalsia, Nalagarh. They survived as a separate political entity nearly for a decade or so, from 48 to 56. Until State Reorganization Act of 56. So they are also a part of Punjab. At that time, later they were merged after 56 States Reorganization Act, that means overall act passed by the Parliament of India for the Linguistic Organization of India. The PEPSU was merged in Punjab. Then we got bilingual Punjab. The Punjab or East Punjab, bilingual Punjab, that survived from 56 to 66 years, sort of uncomfortable survival. And the southern part, south of this is the Ghaggar River. Ghaggar River historically are called Saraswati River, originates in the Shivaliks and used to join Sutlej River, and slowly some climatic changes, that river stopped merging, and it it's like an endorphic river. That means now it doesn't join in a river, other river or ocean, joins, merges in the desert region somewhere in the Ganganagar district and Bahawalpur area and so on. So that is the Ghaggar district. Ghaggar River is the traditional boundary between Punjabi speaking northern areas and non-Punjabi speaking or Haryanvi speaking or a dialect of Western Hindi called Bangar, Bangar speaking. So this is a bilingual Punjab. Here I am showing. This is the Firozpur and Batinda, Shangrur, Patiala, Ludhiana, and north of Sutlej River, Jalandhar, Kapurthala, Amritsar, Gurdaspur, and Hoshiarpur. And because British conquered Ranjit Singh's kingdom, and Kangra, Kulu, Lahul, and Spiti touching Tibet was a part, so it was also bilingual Punjab. So Kangri language and Pahadi languages are spoken in this area. They are also considered a part of Hindi dialects. Like in southern part, Hisar and Sirsha and Bhiwani and Mohindergarh, Narnaval, Gurgaon, Faridabad, and Rohtak, Jajjar, and Karnal, Taneshwar, Ambala, Jagadri, and so all those. This is bilingual Punjab. Punjab that survived as a political entity from 1956 to 66, bifurcation or trifurcation, bilingual Punjab. So the bilingual Punjab is essentially the same that here, this is the PEPSU is merged into the Punjab. And here the Himachal was there at the time, Union Territory. This is the princely state of Chamba and princely state of Mandi, princely state of Bilaspur, and Simla Hill state like Sirmur, Bashar, that is a Kalpa region, and Suket, that is Surendra, Sundargarh, and so on. So that is about bilingual Punjab. Then agitation started by the Akalis for Punjabi speaking province. Punjabi Suba means province, that's a Persian word. Punjabi language, that this is essentially a thin veneer for Sikh majority region, Sikh majority province. Sikhs were never majority in a Punjab in any district during the British Punjab. They were around about 30% only in Amritsar district. After partition, large-scale extermination, genocide, atrocities on Kafirs, non-Muslims by the Muslims or Islam, made them leave their homeland where their forefathers lived for millennia. They were the same parent body like converts, Mussalman converts, but Islamic delusional, hate-filled belief system, conversion-based ideology is highly drilled into their mind as a divinely ordained mission. That was the failure. The Kafirs, under inability to understand and read it, made them finally to leave their land. The context I am talking about is the migration, large scale, and settlement in eastern Punjab made certain districts substantial Sikh majority. That's what Akalis wanted, because they didn't have the power to gain the votes, because southern Hindi speaking and northern Kangra Kulu were Hindi speaking areas. They didn't have the power, political power. So they agitated under the guise of Punjabi language. Essentially Punjabi Suba is Sikh Suba. So they finally succeeded in forcing. So Punjab was trifurcated in 1966 by PRA or Punjab Reorganization Act. 3 states were formed finally. Existing Himachal Union Territory were elevated as Himachal Pradesh. Kangra, Kulu, Lahul, and Spiti were given to it. So that means the Chamba and Simla regions got it. That was designated or continued as Himachal Pradesh with Simla as its capital. Hindi speaking southern region was taken away and named as Haryana or land of Hari and Kurukshetra, that is Hisar region, and Gurgaon, Faridabad, and Karnal, Rohtak, Ambala. And the Punjabi speaking districts, at the time Sikhs constituted around about 60% of this area. Now their population is much less because of large scale immigration and coming of eastern provinces people as a farm workers called Bhayas. So Punjabi Suba consists of Malwa region, Pawad region, Doba region, Maja region. There's a Gurdaspur region, Amritsar, Taran, and Firozpur region, Faridkot region, and Bathinda and Shangrur, Mansa, and Shangrur region, Patiala, Naba, and Ludhiana regions, and Rupnagar region, Rupnagar district, and Chandigarh. So finally, that is East Punjab and Haryana, Himachal Pradesh. So that's what I discussed today about the fascinating land of Punjab. Punjab means different things for different people. Living in like Rohtak and Hisar, living in Ludhiana, Jalandhar, living in Chamba and Kangra. On the west side of the Radcliffe, living in Islamabad, Rawalpindi or Multan or Jhangar, Lalpur, Faisalabad or Kasur and Mithankot, so Jhilam, they mean different things for different people. So I hope that you have a broad understanding of what means by Punjab, and we try to give you a good articulation for the audience today. So overall, I discussed about historic Punjab, the historic region, from Khyber Pass to almost touching the Delhi, that is the historic Punjab. Then linguistic Punjab, various dialects of Punjabi are spoken, that is the Malvi, Powad, Dobi, the standard Mazi, and Multani, Sharaiki, Bahawalpuri, or Riyasti, and Thari in the west of Sindhu River, Dera region, in northern part Potohari, the language in Jhilam and Potahar and Rawalpindi, Islamabad and Attock region, north of that Hindko language, Hindko dialect, and central part Jungle region, Jangli, and so on. That is the linguistic Punjab. Vedic Punjab, that has the Vedic civilization like Cambodia, Kapisha, Gandhara, and all those Madra regions belong to the Vedic time of Punjab. Hindu-Buddhist civilization survived there, and as the Islam was established Arabia firmly, they started invading and converting the people. Shahi rulers finally formed the bulwark for preserving the Punjabi civilization, history, heritage and culture. They finally fell to Ghaznavid rulers, and the Musalman invaders firmly established their power base in Lahore, in the heart of Punjab on the Ravi River. After 200 years later, 1992, the Battle of Thaneshwar was fought, and the last powerful Hindu Punjabi ruler, Prithviraj Chauhan, lost and killed, and their empire extended into Delhi and further into Indo-Gangetic plains. And Mughal Punjab we talked about, and after the Battle of Panipat, various missiles controlled Punjab for some time, for nearly like half a decade, and contended for political power, among which one missile, to which Maharaja Ranjit Singh belonged, consolidated all the Trans-Sutlej missiles and built a powerful kingdom, Khalsa kingdom, Sikh kingdom by Maharaja Ranjit Singh. That is Multan, Attock, Kasur, Lahore provinces, Jammu province and Kashmir province, Ladakh province, and so on, Peshawar province and so on. And when he died in 1839 June, the kingdom fell into anarchy within a decade. British, looking an opportunity, fought 2 wars and annexed the Khalsa kingdom into British East India Company and formed British Punjab. That's the British Punjab with 5 divisions: Rawalpindi and Multan, central Lahore, southern his Haryana division, Ambala division or Delhi division, and other Jalandhar division, and survived nearly 100 years. And increasing Islamic aggression, alienation by the Muslims from their native culture made them to demand and violently agitate and fight, and pusillanimous Congress leadership, cowardized Congress leadership, finally agreed for June 3rd plan or Mountbatten plan, and Cyril Radcliffe was made the judge to award the various Muslim, non-Muslim speaking districts to 2 domains, the dominion of Pakistan, dominion of India. Then we got East Punjab and West Punjab. Then West Punjab we discussed about almost remained the same except Bahawalpur state joined here. That means Rahim Yar Khan, Bahawalpur district and Bahawal Nagar district south of Sutlej River joined the dominion of Pakistan, so enlarged Punjab. Then East Punjab, and it has undergone various changes. Patiala and other states like Malerkotla, Naba, Jind, Loharo and Khalsa and Kapurthala merged into PEPSU, survived for some time, finally merged into Punjab and formed a Punjab that's a bilingual Punjab that has a Haryanvi speaking and Hindi speaking southern regions and Punjabi speaking. Increasing demand agitation by Akalis for formation of a Sikh province under the guise of Punjabi Suba led finally agreeing for that. Mrs. Gandhi's administration agreed for that in 1966 November. Punjab was again trifurcated and we got Punjab and Haryana and Himachal Pradesh, and the prefix east is dropped so that people should not think about what is east means, what is west means. So Punjab in India means actually East Punjab, Punjabi Suba and Haryana and Himachal Pradesh. This is what we discussed today, and this is J. Reddy, your facilitator from South Asia Maps, bringing you the historical, geographical and cultural knowledge of Bharat, south of Karakoram Mountains, north of Kanyakumari, and eastern side of Kalat and Kacha, and western side of Kamarupa to you. Thank you for listening and watching, and we welcome your compliments, criticisms and suggestions, and see you later. We'll continue our fascinating journey about the land of 5 rivers, Punjab. There is only one land in the world, I believe, that is more fascinating. There is no other land. That's of course a subjective opinion of me, and we'll continue our journey in exploring our great fascinating Punjab in future. Thank you very much.